Hi, I'm Diana.
And I'm Lavonda, and we're Homeschoolific.
And today we are going to give y'all some confessions of a homeschooler. And we wrote down 5 of our confessions, but we need to do a little preface here, a little preface.
This is just so that you feel normal. There's things that we all do that may not be like traditional or go against the grain or whatever it is. Don't get in the comments acting crazy.
Don't come tell me when you have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old how you guys do this way every day. I'm not knocking your 2 and 5-year-old. What I'm saying is, when you've been homeschooling as long as we have, we homeschool to go with our lives, not that our lives go with homeschooling.
Yes.
Okay? And we all have strengths and weaknesses, and to share this is just to really just let you guys know, like, we're all normal.
Absolutely. So, let's get started.
All right. You ahead. Number 1. I'm going to let her go first.
Okay, so I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So my first confession is that I start off the year really organized and actually a little bit rigid with our schedule. And reality hits me about like a month or 2 in, and I go to my sticky tab method for scheduling. So I put sticky tabs on what's next. I color code my sticky. It makes more sense for us. I don't know why I don't just start with that. I think I just think the best of me, and so it's just extra work.
Start with that. Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm gonna try and do that this year, as opposed to being like really rigid. This time, that time, do this. This is on my schedule, and then I stopped lesson planning. It was like, oh, okay, well, sticky tab. We know that this is what we're doing for this next week. The colors are, for every color that matches, you do that for that day. That kind of thing. I don't know.
You're very organized even throughout the year. We should point out that neither one of us know what each other wrote.
No.
So there might be some similarities, but I don't think I have that one. All right, so my first confession is one of those ones that I think some homeschoolers can relate to. If you've never had to relate to that, I'm so happy for you. But sometimes I think about and even have spoke to my husband, or maybe on numerous occasions, and Lavonda, about putting my kids in public school. Especially since we've been here in Texas, there's programs that are offered, especially for my dyslexic son, that just wasn't an option for us. And I've questioned if I was giving him the best I could, with what kind of programs they offer here. They have things we just didn't have, I've prayed about it, thought about it, and then there's always something going on in the world that says, no,
Right.
But it has been a conversation. It used to be just a threat because my kids were public school, my older ones, and they knew what public school was compared to homeschooling, and they loved their homeschooling life. They loved it. And I'd be like, I'll put you back in public school. They're like, okay, never mind, I'll do my work. So now it's kind of like, I'll put you in public school, and they're like, what's that like? Oh, never mind. So anyway, that's my first confession. Sometimes I do think about it. I come back to my senses, but sometimes when it's rough, I think about it.
So my second confession is that I overplan every single year.
I thought that was normal.
It's ridiculous. So I always have curriculum that I didn't use because I'm pulling extra resources.
You overplan it over buy.
Listen, that's not what the confession is. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So my point is, I'm gonna do better this year. I overplan and maybe overbuy. It's fun. Leave a little.
I mean, there's such delicious things out there.
I grab things that I might want to use for later, but I schedule it for that year.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Okay. Mine are probably not as fun as hers.
Oops. Sorry.
Maybe I should have did mine on a lighter tone.
Good balance.
Yeah, there's a balance. Okay, so my second one is I don't always arrive to the standards that I've set, and I'll explain that. Like, like you had mentioned for your first confession, there's this rigor that kind of comes, at the beginning of the year where I'm like, okay, everybody, we are up by 7 o'clock in the morning. School starts 8:30 on the clock,
Right.
and then it's usually mama breaking it, especially working mom, because I'm like, hold on, give me just like 30 more minutes. They're like, okay, can I start school? I'm like, yeah, you can, just do your independent work. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, guys, okay, mama just needs like 10 minutes to myself for a minute, and then I'll be back. 45 minutes later, I'm arriving for school. It's 12. And so, but even before working, to be honest, we didn't always start school on time.
Yeah.
There was like absolutely no later than this time we will start school. Like 10 o'clock was that time for us in the house, but we didn't always start school at the time. I don't always arrive to the standards that I'd like to with my family. And yeah, I mean to, and I set pretty decent standards. I think you will put me in between. I'm not crazy rigorous, but I'm also not, like, I want to be, but I can't be. I'm married to my husband.
So my third confession, I actually enjoy planning our homeschool year more than I like executing our homeschool year.
Good one too.
The planner in me lives to plan my homeschool year. I absolutely love it. When it comes, similar to what Daniel was saying, the day-to-day, after the first month or so, it doesn't feel so good, and it's really a struggle. I don't love executing the plan, but I love getting it together. So maybe I could do it for other people.
The markers and the colors, and yeah, man, it's a rush.
Yeah,
it's a rush. I love that one. Okay.
I don't know that will go away, but it is what it is.
I love planning. I do. I'm with you there. I love planning and the field trips and stuff. Like, oh man, I miss that part about it. And okay, number 3 for me. Oh, guys, I fill out our devotions every year. Every year, I mean to make sure our devotions are the first thing we do in the beginning. And every year, there's a phase of life where I'm failing. And it's usually like, especially, it's not been just working, but particularly working me has failed more often. I'll just be like, okay, they really need to get this math work done, or we have co-op homework, and it's like, okay, you need to get this co-op homework done. And so that will take precedence over us getting that group time, that's what I call it, where we get together, we do our devotions, we pray together, and we do some core things together as a family. I read out loud to them. It doesn't always get done.
My number 4 is that this past homeschool year has not been like my best, for sure. Work kind of took me out a few times where I was giving them more time than I should have been. And that meant that my kids did a lot of their, they did their independent work, but I also outsourced a lot of their schoolwork to like videos and things like that. But I overheard one of my kids telling someone, when they asked about how school was going, they said it was boring, and it broke me. Like, it broke me, because that's not how I enjoy schooling.
She's very fun.
And it also, I think it shook me back and brought me back to like where I need to be, where I want to be. But yeah, I might have cried.
Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, it's one thing to say it's challenging. It's one of the things to say there's some subjects I don't want to do. But like as homeschoolers, the last thing we want a venture, right?
Yeah, I want them to love learning.
Yeah.
But it hit me hard and it broke me because I realized it was a boring school year. For all of them, all 3 of them, it was very much like, okay, let's just get this done. This, that.
It's a life skills. It says life is not always exciting, but we dig our heels in and we do what we got to do sometimes.
Yeah, we dug our heels in this past year.
And that's a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our homeschool reflected our life.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Yes.
Okay, so number 4, I do not always want to or even accomplish pushing past me to push them. So like, you know how there's days when your kids give you pushback, and you have to push them, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is some days we're pushing ourselves all day, and sometimes I just don't. I'm like, they're playing around, or days when they're playing around together. When I hear my kids playing together, it is a very hard thing for me to break it up. Like, it's like, oh, they're so happy. Like, it's really hard. And so, but when I'm having a rough day, I've been up since 5 o'clock. I've already done more stuff than they could even think about. Breakfast is done. I've worked for 3 hours. I've exercised. I've taken care of farm animal or homestead animals. And now I've got to get you going because you're like, oh, do I have to get up? It's 9:30. Yeah, you got to get up. You know,
you've had enough of the day. You just want them to get. I need you to be as productive as I've been.
I'm just saying. You know, like
it's hard.
It's really hard to push them when you need the push. Like, can somebody come and push me sometimes? You know what I'm saying? Like, and not that they don't. Sometimes they do, because like some of my kids are very eager to get their schoolwork done. You know what I mean? And so they'll be like, "Hey, mom," but more times than not, I've got to push them, and sometimes I'm just like, yeah, somebody turned on the TV. They're not supposed to, but I didn't hear it.
Oh gosh, I felt yes. Or just giving up on the day altogether.
We're just gonna read out loud.
We're gonna read these couple books, and then
here's a documentary.
Every now and then, this is not a regular thing, y'all. Let's just be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like when you were in school and your teacher brought a movie and put a movie on. Yes. Or you had a substitute and your substitute did whatever.
Oh, substitute for sure.
Oh, man.
That's what we're going to start calling it.
Yeah.
All right, substitute day. Mommy is... No, let me stop. So my last confession is that when life really gets like crazy, we kind of focus on the 3 R's. So when it's really busy, if it's hectic, as long as they've got reading, writing, arithmetic done. So in this case, it'd be reading books for my kids, as long as they've done their language arts portion, math, and depending on the age, any writing assignments. I'm not pressing for anything additional. Science, history, typing, yada yada, geography, name it, you name it, it's not happening. You name it. Today, math, we're gonna do math and reading.
Get those 3 R's
and language arts, and that's what we do. So,
all right. So my last confession, which is
but then when that season is done,
yes,
we go back to our other
temporary.
Things. Yes, it's not.
I actually think that's excellent things to do. Like when there's issues happening, it could be a death in the family, it could be sickness. The 3 R's is the focal point. I mean, I think that's just wise, though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It seemed like the best bet. Like, let's just make sure this is good.
Think about how far kids would get if we made sure that was well done before they moved to everything else. It's a thing. All right, so my last one, and I'm going to tell you guys this one again. Please don't hate in the comments because I've learned a lot from this, but I share it because I hope that you don't ever do this, okay? And if you have, then know that you're not the only one, but it's something that it does stick with you. And I have not expected enough of my kids in particularly in a few times. And what I mean is, like, maybe there's some kind of learning block, or maybe there's a behavioral problem, and instead of believing that they can still achieve, like when we started homeschooling on our own, we did math with Rebecca. If Rebecca said, or no, Rod and Staff, we did Rod and Staff. If Rod and Staff said that to teach this to the kids, I would look at them like, I don't think they can learn this, but I would try. And they would do it. Well, with a couple of my kids, I didn't expect them to arrive to certain expectations that they really could have. And as a homeschooler, this is something that we have to be so careful about. In our efforts to protect our babies, sometimes we can we can have them underachieve when they could have had more. They could have achieved so much more if we would have given them the push. A loving push is very important. And then what happens is your babies pay for that. And that was and that's been the thing. Like, my babies paid for my lack of push. And so, yeah, that's probably the one that weighs the hardest on me, is that one right there. I feel like all the other ones you can kind of skirt around and get through. They're temporary, they're a part of life. But you need to believe that your child can do it maximum. They are the smartest people in the world.
That's right.
And don't let anyone else tell you. Let them tell you where their limit is. You know, and even when they tell you, say, okay, now I need 10% more. Because that's what we do it ourselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was a big one for me.
So I hear you say that, but I've also seen you like acknowledge it previously, and then like do more than go above and beyond to make up for those things. You see, if it was there and you saw it, you just you find whatever you need and you just dig your heels in and you like attack it.
But how much is it easier for them? I mean, of course, it's a great way to fix it.
Yeah.
But how much easier is it for your child if you... Now you're at the end of the line. Hold the phone. You don't know what? Oh, you can't graduate if you don't know this. You know, like there's
100% easier.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's a better way, but also that's not always real life either.
No,
right?
right.
We make mistakes, but we also like you having that. It's a good, just moral basis to like if I mess up, I fix it.
Yeah.
And you do that.
Well,
you did that.
And to piggyback on it, one of the issues was I wouldn't go get him diagnosed. And so I didn't know how to work with him in his way of learning. So I thought he just wasn't capable of learning certain things, when really what it was is just I wasn't capable of teaching him in the way that he needed to be taught. Once I got that diagnosis that I was so afraid to get, the tools were given to me, I could do it, and then it was like there was a whole new world opened up. And I couldn't, it wasn't like I was twiddling my thumbs like, oh, you're just, look, at best, baby, you're going to be in the grocery store, okay? It wasn't like that. Just,
No,
it was more like, I'm just trying to get you to read and write, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so it becomes a thing, and then you realize, like, but in that, even when we were doing that, we should have been exploring other things beyond reading and writing to help compensate while we figured out. There was other skills that could have been learned and taught while we figured that out. You know what I'm saying? Like, while the 3 R's are the core, if you're struggling there, your child's struggling, you can find other things that they can do for that time.
And other things that make them feel confident.
Yes.
Because that is a big thing.
Yes.
Kids don't want, it's discouraging if they don't feel confident in something that they're doing.
They could actually know how to read, but their confidence will make it so that they can't read well.
Absolutely.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's all I got. Yeah. Maybe we'll have more to confess. I know I have more to confess, but that's
why I had to limit it.
That's all you're going to get for now.
Yeah. But if you guys have things you'd like to confess, share with the community, or if there's anything that you learned, please share it in the comment section below. Don't forget to download our free resource with how many?
It's over 75. You can also download our Homeschool 101 / The Ultimate Guide to Homeschooling course for free as well. It's in the description box below. And if you're looking to, get some extra help with homeschooling and you want a consultation, we offer 30-minute or 1-hour consultations, not for free, but in the description box below. Our time is valuable, guys. I'm sorry, it can't all be free. We're trying, though. We're trying.
Help us. And we'll have a Patreon coming soon. Anyway, look for that soon. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.